Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised.
I was all alone, standing on the sidewalk. It was a rainy night, very late. I'm the only one standing outside. Everyone's already been picked up.
That's why it was a lonely night.
Everyone's been picked up. Everyone's loved ones have already been waited on and are already halfway home, and I'm still alone. I think to myself, she's not coming. And there I am, walking dreadfully back to my car as I get ready to leave New Orleans for that night.
Well done. Oh, wow. The voice from beyond approves.
I appreciate that bit that was literally just for us in this room.
Yeah.
You had me in the first part there. I'm just saying.
For nobody else.
I love the awkward staring at Brady. That was also strange as well. It was very good.
Everyone, this is Travelers on the Omnibus.
Is
it? A field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name is Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
I'm Bray Davis. It's also Missed Connections.
I'm Jody Kite.
And gentlemen, we have a guest.
We
have
do
a guest
have a
for the
guest.
first time this season. Ladies and gentlemen, Whiskey and Wrestling's very own Jason Holder.
Hello, travelers. That's all I got.
Yeah, very, very profound statement.
Yeah.
Well, since you are our guest, what's been up with you?
Well, thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank God, because without him, all things wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
For bringing us to this thing.
So
I don't have headphones, so I can't hear what's going
I
on.
do, and I can't hear whatever the hell it is.
No, okay, so I had asked Michael to send me the intro to Whiskey and Wrestling because I was going to put it on the soundboard, but it went through Messenger, and I don't know how to download MP3s off of Messenger, so I had to play it through the phone. So anybody who heard that, thank you, and for anyone who didn't hear about, you don't know what you missed. It could have been amazing, or it could have been terrible. Who knows?
So I finished watching Hazbin Hotel. Highly recommended. 10 out of 10.
Good show.
Great show. Great show.
The music is more catchy than it has any right to be.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where I've actually downloaded the soundtrack
Oh, damn.
Nice.
into YouTube Music. So yeah. The other part is video games, right? I mean, that's what y'all talk about, nerd shit.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So
It's in the categories.
I mean, I've been playing Sea of Stars, which I believe is if Super Mario RPG and Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger had a wild night on Everclear, this is what you would get. So far, it's been great. I've been playing a little bit of Helldivers 2 as well, which, hey, let's bring forced democracy to the galaxy. It is amazingly tongue-in-cheek in the best way possible. And looking forward to tomorrow because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth finally comes out.
Could you tell everybody what happened when you started pre-downloading it?
Yeah, well, this wasn't the pre-download. I got a new PlayStation 5 about 6 months ago, right?
Oh, good man.
And, I had played Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PlayStation 4 at the beginning of the pandemic because it came out in 2020. So played it, beat it, lovely game, put it aside. Get my PlayStation 5. Hey, this is cool. It's one of those, end of the lifespan of PlayStation 4, moving to PlayStation 5. A lot of games are like, hey, if you buy the 4 copy, we'll give you a copy for the 5 when you update them. All right, cool. So I updated to the 5. The problem is they're two separate games. So when I put them on my external hard drive that then got plugged into the PlayStation 5, it's like, hey, you have 2 copies of this game on here. You have the PlayStation 4 version and the PlayStation 5 version. And I think, I really don't need the PlayStation 4 version. Now, do I? Delete. Which deleted not just the game, but the save, everything.
Gross.
Yeah.
So I'm having to restart it. But I will say this, if you haven't played Remake, it is well worth it. Simply because, look, I'm playing through it again. I give you number 1 props to that game. And that's what I've been doing.
Cool.
See, typically I would go in the order of the table, but instead I'm going to reverse it to Jay.
Okay, I have done nothing.
Okay. Go reverse it again to Jody.
Oh, sweet. So
This is the worst game of Uno I've ever played.
I'm going to start by talking about work. So our POS is a POS.
Okay.
Like I was telling Jay earlier, they went from, not joking, Windows XP to Linux. That's a proper response,
crazy.
Brady. And also, the interface you're using with Linux is garbage. For example, I was trying to get out of work, and one of the managers decided to hit the wrong button and start the beginning of the day routine. So I handed the store manager all my money and said, I'll get whatever's left when I get back tomorrow.
Oh, no.
And it's been a nightmare on so many levels. So would not recommend.
Oh, dear Lord.
And that's how Skynet started.
Right. We have to carry burn phones with us now to track where we're going.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
No.
That
it's-
sounds terrible.
It's awful. It's awful situation. And I've been watching a lot of YouTube. I go into details, but I don't know. There's so many things. I just sit there and vegetate while I'm watching YouTube and lose track of time and watch video game reviews and new games coming out. I've been watching Helldivers 2 footage because I can't play it because I don't have a PS5 or a computer suitable to play it.
Everything I see
Or
about
Baldur's Gate 3 or any of those.
everything I see just makes me want to join the effort to maintain Malevolon Creek.
Look, that game is so over the top. Like when you do the tutorial. So spoilers on a $30 game, right? For the tutorial. As you're going through the tutorial, you get there, you get out, and a voice that sounds very similar to Arlie Ermy is telling you how to crouch, how to pick up a weapon, how to reload, how to change it. And every time you do something, it's like, you are the best goddamn soldier that I have ever seen. You get to the end of it, and it's like, you are invincible, soldier. You are going to be the savior of the galaxy. You are the best helldiver that has ever come out of this academy. And then you get your cape, and you go get your drop pod, and then when you land on your first planet, you will immediately get slaughtered because this game does not care about you or your feelings.
Good. I've been watching a lot of bushcraft videos. I don't know if you like watch a guy go out into the winter wilderness and like cut down trees and build a cabin and try and survive in zero temperature.
I've been seeing clips
environments.
of him. I've been seeing a lot of clips of him.
Well, there's like more than one. There's multiple people that do that, and then there's something else I was watching and I cannot remember currently because my brain is just work situation and everything like that. But yeah, I haven't really been doing much of anything either.
All right. Brady, any work stories or just whole nothing weeks for you?
No, I actually did stuff. So, yeah. So this Friday, the third chapter for Lorcana came out, Into the Inklands, and I got a couple of boxes. Got some pretty decent pulls, but some of the not great legendaries. I also got a bunch of those. I also pulled my first Enchanted. It's the only one that I've ever pulled out of Scrooge McDuck. He's pretty cool. By now, though, I'm so like I'm not even caring about it. That I was just like, and then I like put him down. And was like, okay, what's the next pack?
Right.
So,
For those who were not aware at this point, we're filming at Ethan's house tonight.
Yes.
And one of the cats is now the 6th member of this podcast tonight.
yeah.
Be advised, my cat does not know how to meow. It just screams.
Yeah. So this one's going to be a pretty interesting set, I believe. It adds a lot of like interesting things. It adds locations. They come out and they can always be attacked, but then they generate lore at the beginning of the turn. And then they also, a lot of them, you can move characters there to do things. Like they'll give them a buff, or characters will, if they're at a location, they'll get a buff or something like that, depending on the character. So there's a lot of like interesting things. I'm glad that like Amethyst didn't get like a whole lot of really good stuff because it's already been a really good ink. And some of these other ones like Emerald is phenomenal now. They have an Ursula card it's a 3-cost card, and when she sings a song, which means any song that's 3 or less, she can sing it and you play it for free. You activate the song's abilities, then you activate the song's abilities again for free and put it on the bottom of your deck.
Ugh. Gross.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah, so like there's a card, Friends on the Other Side. It's a 3-cost song that you draw 2 cards. Well, with her, you can draw 4 cards
Draw
and put
4
it back
cards and then just recycle
and
it
put
on
it
the
back in
bottom.
your deck. So if you have any way to shuffle up your stuff, it's no longer at the bottom of your deck. In fact, I think an Emerald Amethyst deck won a 100-person tournament in Germany.
That's the songs list with Ariel that can.
No, this is more like it works with like the bounce stuff, and then the Ursula. There's another Ursula that when you play her, you look at your opponent's hand and discard a song, which is very powerful because songs are some of the most powerful things in the game right now.
Are there any tutor cards?
Not like full tutors.
Okay.
At most, you have like the most things that like let you search for things are like the top 4 of your deck.
Yeah, there's several cards that are like, look at the top 4 and take a song or take a character or something like that. But there aren't any like demonic tutors or
Yeah, there's
any
no
of that where it's like, look in your deck for this.
If that ever drops, that whatever color that's in, along with that, like what Emerald you said, is going to be.
I mean, that becomes like a.
Yeah.
I hope they don't do a card like that until way later.
Yeah.
Because right now you're right. Like whatever color that's in, every deck will be that color and something.
Yeah, a full tutor would break the game. Right now.
Even
break
like
it
one
in
that's like when this Aladdin enters, go search for any Aladdin, shuffle your deck
Yeah.
and put it on top. Anything like that would be broken too.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like right now, at most they've got a few cards that are like, when this comes into play, if you control this character, do this, or if you control this character, do this. But it's
Right.
not like go search for, you know,
Yeah.
like, hey, here's an Elsa that when it comes into play, go search for an Anna and put it in
Yeah.
play. That doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you've got like there's an Ariel that when you play her, you can search the top 4, look at the top 4 of your deck, take a song, and then put the rest on the bottom of your deck. And then you have Be Our Guest, which does the same thing but for characters. So, but yeah, there's a lot of really good cards that have came out. Of course, Amber Steel is like my favorite like combination, and they got a lot of stuff. They got Bare Necessities, which is a 2-cost song, which you look at your opponent's hand and you discard a non-character card. So songs, locations, items, if there's anything that's really good for them that's part of their, because there's some stuff, because like now there's a couple of like ways to gain lore very easily. There's like a 1-turn kill combo that's actually not super hard to do with a few cards. There's also a Jafar that when he's exerted on your turn, every time you draw a card, you gain a lore.
Ew.
Yeah, and there's a card called Whole New World, which you discard your hand and draw everybody discards their hand and draws 7 cards. So you just gain 7 lore. Yeah. So you can shift him, sing it, and then if you draw into another one and you have 5 ink, then you know
the green Lady Tremaine,
Yeah.
the green purple, the Lady Tremaine that lets you return a card from your discard to your hand, an action card, which I mean that's an action. So you Whole New World, play her. If you draw into her, play her, pull it back again, play it again. Hey, I got 14 lore. How about that?
Yeah. It's that's so that and the Ursula card are like the most expensive cards right now. But there's also some really other good stuff.
Bianca pulled the Hades that allows you to tap it and ready all of your Titan characters.
Yeah, you
And
can actually do some.
I want to just make a Titan deck. That's If I ever get into this game, I just want to make a Titan. I just want to play Titan.
Luckily, all of those cards are like super cheap. I'm all the stuff that I didn't get from my boxes. I've already ordered, and it was just like a few dollars. Because there is some really interesting synergy with the Titans. It's not going to be a great deck, but it's going to be
it's
good deck.
It's gonna be is not gonna be like competitively viable.
But there's like
it's just a funny haha deck.
But you can do like pirates in Ruby Steel, and it's actually like a fairly tribal deck, and you can either explain the whole fucking term out, or you can just say this thing. You can just say, oh, I have a card that lets me search through and find any other card, or you can say I have a tutor. Like it's so yeah. So there's that. That's pretty cool, and it opens up because these decks from this last set were kind of getting boring. It was really getting boring and tedious to make a deck. So there's that. The other thing I did is I finished a novella that I'd been reading called "The Salt Grows Heavy" by Cassandra Crawl. I can't remember. I'd previously read a novella from her called "Nothing But Blackened Teeth," and I didn't like it very much. But this one I liked a lot. It was like so the main character and the POV character is a mermaid, but she's not like the fairy tale mermaid. She's like a mermaid. She has teeth and eats flesh and shit like that. Like she's a mermaid. She's like a true mermaid. And it's like what happens after the stuff in the fairy tale, and it's not good because her she's basically she goes on the run because her children basically destroyed the kingdom. So she's kind of on the run with this plague doctor, and they come across a really weird village, and they because some things are connected with their past. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but it's a very good book, I thought. The last one, I think the problem with it was that it needed a little bit more. It needed to be a little bit longer to actually do everything that it needed to do. And I think this one does a really good job of doing it in just it's only a little over 100 pages. So it's actually a pretty quick read, but it's a really, really good book. It's got kind of this fairy tale vibe with it, but kind of postmodern, but it's very, very good. So there's that. Monday, I also got in a Kickstarter for an RPG book that I had backed called Penumbra City. And this was on my radar because the world designer, the person who wrote all the lore and everything, is Margaret Killjoy. She is an author, and she has a podcast called Cool People Who Did Cool Stuff. She's also on. I first found out about her from she's on Behind the Bastards a decent amount, and she's very close with Robert Evans, who's the main guy of that one. So it's her, and then Emin Neruin. I probably butchered that. I apologize. And Robin Savage. Emin did all the game design, and then Robin Savage did all the illustrations. It's kind of like a Victorian Gothic type setting where there are these god kings who keep this perpetual war going, and the city is everything is there's trains and radios and even things like suits for people in the war. There's ex-Marines that have these robot suit things, but it's all run by coal. So it's constantly there's ash everywhere, and it's really a shitty. And there's literally an area floating up, a city floating above the city called Silver, where all of the really rich people stay. And there's basically three sides. There is the revolutionaries who want to overthrow the God King. There are the Bulwark who want to keep the status quo, and then there are the Reasonables who are playing both sides against each other. There's a lot of anarchists type stuff in here. It's got really interesting factions. There's the Clackers, which they just make bombs. There are so one of the types of magic is called mycomancy, which is just using mushrooms to do shit. There are Fungalians who are street poets who eat mushrooms to mostly get high, but every once in a while to go into a berserker rage when they're fighting. There are rat kings, which are street homeless kids who eat mushrooms, and it lets them psychically communicate with rats. There are dog girls who are basically squatters who ride around on these coal-powered motorcycles that could blow up at any time. There's even a class called a lordling, which is basically just like a rich person slumming it, and they literally have a ability called slumming it, where they gain abilities from different factions, depending on who they spent time around. There's gunslingers. It's a really interesting world with really interesting. The mechanics are fairly simple, but also pretty interesting. It also came with an introductory adventure with the digital version, and this is something that I think that we could probably that I think would be interesting to run in a later podcast.
It future Omnibus plays. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting with everything, because there's like different factions, and you have reputation with the different factions depending on how they depending on what you are. You start with some reputation, and you're kind of dealing with that.
The way I imagine in my head is like you have like the below land is my mind again is like industrial England is like you have like smoke,
it's very like British
like
feeling.
smoke clouds all over the
Yeah.
place, like tattered and ashen clothing and all
Yeah,
whatnot.
like there's a nicer place of the city, but it's still not as nice as like the silver is.
silver.
The silver is basically like almost if
like
you've watched
pish posh.
Yeah, if you've watched the movie Elysium, I think that's kind of what it feels like, where they just don't have any worries whatsoever. And all
Battle
the people,
Angel too.
Yeah.
Battle
like,
Angel,
where you
yeah.
have like the city that's above the slums.
Yeah,
Astro
So-
Boy, I want to say also does that.
I think it depends on what version of Astro Boy.
Yeah, it's been forever since I've watched Astro Boy, so I don't know.
But-
I know the movie does that.
But it's a very interesting system. Like you only have like 4 attributes, and it's a roll under. So like you roll a d20 and you're trying to roll under whatever your thing is. Like if I say you have to take a will check and your will is 10, you have to roll under a 10.
Gotcha.
If you roll a 1, it's really good. If you roll a 20, you succeed, but there are complications. And the way that difficulty is added is it basically does the disadvantage thing that the advantage and disadvantage thing that 5th edition does, to where it's like, okay, this is a harder task. You have to roll this with one disadvantage die. Or if it's a super hard task, 2 disadvantage dice. And so you roll it and take
The double disadvantage.
yeah, so it's like you just stack disadvantage or advantage depending on how easy or how more likely
How
it is.
proficient
Yeah,
you are.
you have proficiency in certain things, so proficiency will give you like an advantage on it.
Alrighty.
So it's
Sounds sick.
a pretty simple system. Some of the things are kind of harsh. Like if you lose all of your if you drop to 0 HP and fall down and you get attacked again, you start losing points from your attributes, and you actually die when one of your attributes gets to 0.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. That seems a little harsh, but I don't know exactly how it plays.
That's like old school, like AD&D level stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's what she
you
was-
died? Cool. Your constitution is about to be ass.
Yeah, but so that kind of seems a little harsh, but I don't know exactly how, because like you start out with a lot of abilities. So because you even have like, here are your combat abilities, here are your non-combat abilities. So there's a lot of stuff in there. It seems very interesting, and like I said, I think that after reading through the adventure, I think that it could work pretty easily with us playing that. So yeah, and then the last thing is a while back I watched a video from Red Letter Media where they watched a movie called Dinner in America. I know it was either last week or the week before where I talked about a movie called The Passenger,
Yeah.
which was starring Kyle Gallner, and this is another one that they had talked about that was starring Kyle Gallner. It was pretty good. It's I think I like The Passenger better. I think I disagree with them. They said this one was better, but this one was pretty interesting. Kyle Gallner is like this punk rock guy who is kind of like, everybody in this is kind of a piece of shit. And he falls in love with this girl who is she's a little bit slow. I really can't it's really
She has
not
challenges, right?
she's not like, it's really hard to explain how she is.
Gotcha.
Like it's not, I don't know.
Would you say she's like that? Would you say that? Okay.
That explains it perfectly.
Okay, there you go.
And they kind of start a relationship on weird terms. But like he's one of these guys who like he does not give a fuck. He will say whatever he wants, whatever he's thinking. He doesn't have any filter. And they just kind of develop a relationship. It's actually a surprisingly sweet movie. And it does have some funny parts. Like Kyle Gallner at the beginning, like makes out with Leah Thompson, because he goes to this chick's house, and then she's the mom, and she starts hitting on him.
Nice.
And then he has to like throw a chair out at the window and break the window to escape the dad and the brother coming after him. Hits the brother with a turkey. It's very funny.
Frozen or cooked?
It's cooked. They were sitting down and eating dinner.
Feels
So,
like
yeah.
one of quick spoiler. One of the songs that we listened to tonight would be a perfect backdrop to all of this.
Yeah,
I'm
there's a
just
lot of
saying.
like punk music, but also like the score is kind of like it's very electric. It's just calling it like house type music is not, but it is like electronic music. So it was a good
music.
it was a good movie.
EDM.
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of EDM. That's legit.
So, but it's like very kind of slow-ish. I don't know. It's very hard to explain, but Dinner in America, yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I didn't hate watching it.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a perfect 5 out of 7.
No, mm-mm,
Okay.
no.
Ethan.
Yes.
What have you been up to?
So
I was gonna keep the bit going and not ask him. So,
Anytime I can use that fucking echo, goddamn.
of course,
you have to get your money's worth out of
Yes.
this.
yeah.
So Jake can attest, work's been a little
Eh.
rough, but I managed to request some PTO, some deserved time off, and
Don't say that out loud. They'll hear that and go, "Oh, you deserve it, really?"
and I was planning on using this Saturday to going up to Perk and speak with the new owners of our wedding venue.
Real quick, do you want to be a part of this story? Because this affects you greatly as well. You don't want to? Okay, then continue the story.
Okay. Listeners, Jay was yelling at Bianca and asking if she wants to join the podcast.
That sounds very like
He was
sexy.
asking her loudly
Yes.
because he's got headphones on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's focusing on some sort of Disney
Stardew
Valley amalgamation.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were planning on doing that Saturday. They were gonna provide drinks, alcohol, and food, and I was gonna have a blast. Fast forward to this past Tuesday night.
Literally yesterday for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
for us yesterday. For y'all, last week.
Yeah.
Bianca gets home. I'm cooking dinner, and she says, "Hey, I got an email from the owners of the wedding venue." I'm like, "Okay, cool. They just want to remind us of everything. Reminder of this upcoming Saturday. What time we need to be there." She's like, "No, quite the opposite. It has been moved to the very end of this month,
Oh.
as opposed to literally this weekend." So now I have days off where I'm gonna be where I had plans, but now I've replaced those plans with CoastCon.
Yes.
Plans have been
Thank God
placed.
CoastCon showed up at the last minute.
What other plans?
I would have punched a hole. I'm checking your walls right now to see if a hole's in one of them because that would have been my. It's like he's got to pull teeth to get get PTO. He legitimately because a lot of things have to be like reestablished.
Sure.
In order to be able to, for anyone at his grade to be able to get PTO. So to get this thing and then the whole reason for getting it just completely washed out. Yeah, I would be punching holes.
I'm pretty sure the email that they sent Bianca is like, "Sorry, we apologize if this inconveniences anyone."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, no, this extremely inconveniences me."
Yeah. Well, they're sorry, so you don't stop talking about it. How dare you?
Wait, do you mean not everybody works Monday through Friday 9 to 5? Like Like there are people that work jobs that aren't those times.
Oh, quite the opposite.
Yeah. There you go.
So, yeah, she's holding up. Oh, it's a text reminder. Oh,
It's like,
God.
wait, it's not even, what even an email? It was a
it's not
text
even
message?
an email.
Oh, Jesus.
May I read the text message?
They also sent an email.
Oh,
Oh,
A Facebook notification.
How
And
magnanimous.
a text.
Well then.
Lovely.
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry for any inconvenience, but unfortunately, we're going to have to reschedule the meet and greet this weekend to March 30th at 5:30 p.m. Again, we're so sorry for the inconvenience, and I hope everyone will be able to make it to the new date. By the way, we're real sorry for the inconvenience. Did we mention we're sorry for the inconvenience? Inconvenience! Incon-fucking-venience!
Yes, move it from a weekend where nothing's happening to the literal Saturday before Easter.
Yeah, I bet if you tried to cancel like a week before you were supposed to have the venue, they would like take your deposit.
They'd
Yes.
probably eat your deposit.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, we've kind of like locked in on the whole venue thing. So far,
I imagine so, because it wouldn't be an inconvenience at that point. It would be financially.
Well, it's inconvenient for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all could have given me $100 and used my front yard. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
He's got a large front yard.
yeah.
I will say that is an option we had not explored yet. Nope, Bianca wanted a brick wall. Do you have a brick wall?
My house is brick.
His house is a brick. It has four brick walls. That's
there's a
4
brick
times
wall.
the brick wall.
We can make you a brick wall,
Yeah.
probably for less than your deposit was on that venue.
Most likely, yes.
Actually, wait a minute. With the cost of construction of like materials nowadays, no, we couldn't.
You can buy a piece of fake brick plywood and just hold it up
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah, just
We-
have two
we-
people holding up plywood that looks
No.
like brick and just take your pictures in front of it.
No, we have the wedding ceremony in front of a green screen, so that way we could be anywhere we want.
Oh
There
my
you go.
God.
You
Including a
got it.
brick wall.
You could have a brick wall. You could have a space station. You could be under the sea to match your flipper outfit.
You can have
Seven-
Thanos marry you.
7 raptors.
Jesus.
Just 7 and do you mean raptor trucks, raptor helicopters, or velociraptors?
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm immediately moving since he mentioned Flipper. So, I believe that is everyone. Jay, do we have any feedback?
We have some feedback this week. Congratulations. Cousin and friend of the show, Lionel Clark, nepotism, gave me this feedback literally like an hour and a half ago when I saw him. So he would have emailed it in, but instead he's like, I always forget to, and it's like, I see you. So here it is. Goes back to our box art episode, our brief non-sequential history on box art, and specifically our troubles with Netflix and the kind of way it kind of matches with our experiences going to the video store. And this was specifically for Brady, but I think it kind of applies to everybody, including Jason sitting here. The trouble with Netflix, and I think with streaming services, is that like if you went to the movie store, it's like, hey, where's RoboCop? Oh, action section. You go down the action
Right.
aisle, or if it was a new release, right there. Boom.
Right.
Go, but if at the very least you had the action on it, because it's clearly an action movie. Nowadays, it's like, did you like watching RoboCop? You may also like Bluey the dog. Wait, why? Why would I like this? What's going on? Do you like rom-coms? Have you seen RoboCop?
Yeah.
No. Wait. Like, there's a problem with the algorithm, and when I say the algorithm, just any of the algorithms that they're using, where you can find movies underneath certain labels that they do not fit under at all. And so
Yeah.
when you're doing and making your searches, you've got a lot of this static of things that you know don't match up with that are like loaded up with the
You
stuff you're
used to
looking
could
for.
just like look up a category in Netflix back in the day. Like you could look up horror and it would show you all the horror movies. Now it shows you all these bracketed different subcategories like fantasy horror, thrillers, mystery horror, and it keeps going down the list.
Yeah.
I blame TiVo for that. Because TiVo was that first DVR thing that came out with a brain, as they called it, right? And it was, for those younger people, right? The TiVo was you hit record, and it would record whatever you were watching, and then it would also record some other stuff that might be connected. And Patton Oswalt has a joke about it where he talks about he had recorded Bonanza, and it ended up recording some kind of weird French children's show. And it's like, if you like Bonanza, you're gonna like this too. And he's like, what's going on? Until he realized they both had horses in them. And it was like, he's like, so I'm telling TiVo, I'm like, no, TiVo, that's a bad TiVo. And TiVo's like, you hate me. Deleted everything, So
That would be like Netflix. Oh, you like horses? Here's Black Beauty and War Horse.
Yeah.
Like, good God, no.
Right.
I've noticed that you like children animation. Here's Sausage Party.
Yeah.
Yep, no, that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's
That's a
pretty
thing.
sad that the best interfaces are on the free sites. Tubi has one of the best interfaces when it comes to
Yeah, if you're
trying to
looking for
find
things on
stuff.
Tubi, you can generally find
Like
them.
you go to their
Yeah.
categories, they're all like just listed, and it's like a martial arts. There you go, there it is. Just click onto it, and it'll show you all the martial arts movies.
Of all the streaming sites, Tubi has been there for us.
Literally, because we've had to watch things off of Tubi.
Yes.
Tubi has Ninja Eliminator.
Cool.
Thank you, Tubi.
Okay, so is that an eliminator that is also a ninja, or is it an eliminator specifically for ninjas?
Both.
Okay, there we go.
It's a Godfrey Ho movie.
Okay, yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. The dubbing in those is exceptional.
I like
love it.
how they wear ninja bandanas. And by ninja bandanas, the bandanas say ninja on them.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want.
And they're all Swedish dudes. It's great. One wears camo, red camo.
Well, if you're, you're fighting on Mars, you
yeah.
fucking
Or
got
in
to
a
be
volcano.
Neither one of those happens.
Oh, dear Lord.
See, now I want a ninja movie on Mars where you literally don't see them and all of a sudden they just jump out of the dirt and just start ninja kicking people.
There has to be a ninja movie on
Yeah.
Mars.
Yeah. Any more feedback?
That is it for feedback this week. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the bus this week. If you would like to leave feedback for the bus, travelers on the omnibus at gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L, on the omnibus at gmail.com. Jody, how else can they get in touch with us?
Spotify.
Spotify, yes. Take part in any of our polls and questions of the week involving the episode. Last week, we did a chalkboard, and we want to know what you thought of our chalkboard and our top 5. Even though it is incontrovertible and hammered in stone forever and ever, we'd like to know what you thought about it.
Yes.
Let's see.
Where else can they listen
No,
to
it's
us?
just, I was going to kick it to Brady, and now you've ruined it. So now you tell us where everybody can find us.
You can also all the platforms that you can find us at is Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon.
That
It's a good
sounds
thing
like,
you didn't kick it to me because I would just kick it to Ethan anyway.
yeah.
I saw the future momentarily.
There you go. Oh my God.
Yes.
very good corporate task.
Yes.
Yes.
Delegate the shout out.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
I do believe that is everything. So
Yeah,
now
the macaroni and cheese is done.
macaroni and
probably.
cheese is done.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that? No, my hosting powers. No.
Hello. I apparently have taken Ethan's hosting powers.
Yes.
Because we did a thing. Or I did a
No,
thing.
you know why, right?
Why?
I've discovered the power of the breeding pen.
You can't hear that, but we've heard it, and it's funny. Don't worry. When you get that, it'll be fantastic.
Trust me, I know what button he pressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did a thing. If you're a longtime Travelers listener, like I hope most of you are, because we plug them on our podcast, Whiskey and Wrestling, with Michael Hill and Jason Holder, where we exactly.
Hey, he's getting it out of the way. That means one of us doesn't have to do it.
Hey,
But
exactly,
that also
exactly,
means that
exactly.
there's less that I actually know to do. So it's a double-edged sword.
So, these guys have done Mixmaster episodes, several of them, I believe.
Yes.
Where they have, brought their 3 songs, and I think we can all agree that Mr. Bungle is the gold standard.
I disagree.
Of-
And that
any album.
that wasn't even for a Mixmaster.
We
That
could
was just-
say
we just
that,
picked
but
that.
So I said, hey, I would like to do this. I want to give the guys 4 albums because 2 of them are very, very short
Yeah.
to listen to. And they have. And now we're going to find out what they think. So the first album came out in 1992. I think it's probably the one that most people would be familiar with, would be Opiate by Tool. Their first album that they released, it shows that
Yeah.
it's their first.
Yeah, because like half of these are live.
My first comment as soon as Sweat hits is this is a younger Maynard James Keenan.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's clearly a younger man.
Yeah.
It is the audio is very rough. The like Brady said, several of the tracks are live.
Although they sound good for live tracks in 1992.
Oh yeah, it is. It's Tool. It's heavily bass driven, heavily drum driven. The lyrics on this album are not up to the esoteric and deep lyrics of later Tool.
Yeah, this is
Well,
like
literally the next album, like
Yeah.
arguably has some of their best songs. Like, and
To you,
for me, it's the one song, only song of
Yeah.
theirs that I like. So they obviously, but there is a huge jump going into the next.
yeah.
album.
Even the most Tool-like song on here is still very blunt, and you don't have to think too hard about it.
I mean, there's a little intermission here where Maynard throws a guy out of the live show that they're recording.
Yeah, throw that Bob Marley wannabe motherfucker out of here.
Yes.
It felt a little bit more Perfect Circle to me. Like I think
It is less complicated than their other albums.
Yeah.
This is almost like if they decide, hey, we're going to do a punk album, especially like the first 5 songs are more punkish. I'm not saying that they are punk. I'm just saying they're punk-ish, punk adjacent compared to.
I think most people that come to Opiate, you hear, at least in our generation ranking, I don't know about Ethan, we'll get his information, but I think the rest of us sitting here, we probably heard Anima first. Would be my guess.
With my generation, it was Lateralis was actually first.
Okay. So Brady hears Lateralis first. We heard Anima 1st. Once you hear Anima, then you kind of, I feel like the way my journey with Tool, right? Like you hear Anima, you go back and listen to the previous stuff. Opiate was very hard to get. It was an EP. This wasn't at the local record store.
Yeah.
You had to go to basically the import shop or
Actually,
something like that to pick it up.
Undertow was my first.
Undertow was your first?
Undertow was my first. That I
Sober
heard.
was the first song I
Sober
heard.
was the
Sober's on
first
Undertow.
Sober
song
was
I
the first
heard.
one I
Yeah.
heard.
Because it was the first big single that they released
Yeah.
on the radio, right? But as far as like getting into it, getting an actual CD, Anima was the first one I grabbed.
Yeah, I've never
It
had
was the first one that had a ton of songs that came out just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
as singles.
I've never had a Tool CD, but I remember particularly being in a car with family who had just gotten their driver's license, and that was in the 6-disc CD changer. It was Undertow because Sober came on. That's actually the first time I had ever heard Sober was in a car radio.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I saw it on Headbangers
Excuse
Ball.
me, not a CD. It was tape. That's how
Yeah.
far back we're going. It was
wow.
actually cassette
Headbangers
tape.
Ball.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, tape and CD existed at the same time during that time period.
And the funny thing is now that this is like one of the easier records to get a hold of. Like you can find this pretty easily on vinyl, and a lot of their other albums like you can't find on vinyl.
And they also re-recorded like the title song "Opiate." I
Yeah,
think it's called
Opiate 2 came out a couple of years ago.
Which is just crazy to me that this used to be the hard to find album. This was the if you were a Tool fan, you had to go to several little indie shops and things to find this, and now you can buy it at Target.
Yeah.
So
I bought my copy at Books A Million. Like I was just looking through and I was like, oh shit. I guess, and it was only like $12, and I was like, I guess I have to buy this.
Well, I mean, it speaks to their popularity. It speaks to their longevity. It speaks to their influence and just how influential they have been for a good number of just rock enthusiasts. And again, just to kind of get back onto Opiate. Opiate is definitely more punk, whereas like starting with Undertow, it's when they really start digging into the progressive stuff.
Yeah.
I think is where you get Enema. I hate to say it, like, excuse me, but I see AE and I go, and so yeah.
I don't know if there is a consensus on how to say that because it.
But like, I don't like Tool, but at the same time, I at least want to pay respect.
So
to,
real quick, also Anima is they smash together the words enema and anima.
Okay.
So meaning like a clearing out of the soul, like a clearing out of the soul.
Right.
So that's why and because it's the A and the E is smushed together into one letter. Like I don't know that there's any like correct way to say it.
Because it's like
It's like how Aether, like the A and the E is like together. Almost.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
A, like A should be a hard A, so it should be anima, which just seems weird to me.
Sounds wrong.
Yeah, it sounds, which means it might probably is right for
Yeah.
what they were going for.
And it also doesn't the song and the album are spelled two different ways, so it's not even a consensus if they're both said the same way.
Right.
So because he never says that word in
Why'd you have to point that out?
yeah.
Why'd you have to do that?
Welcome to Tool, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Okay.
They do weird shit like that.
So
we should put you in like a soundproof room and just make you listen to all of Tool and see what comes out afterward.
funny you say that.
That's happened for you?
No, this is the first time I've ever listened to any like type of Tool.
Okay.
That is very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, my father, he loves Tool. He went to the Tool concert, and
My father.
Oh, when we went to the Tool concert in New Orleans, our mutual friend Eddie was talking to this girl, and he's like, "Yeah, they went to this concert called Tool," and she's like, "Isn't that old people music?"
You know what?
Why can we not stay sober? That's why, because
Yeah.
we're fucking drunken grandpas now.
but like he loves Tool. He went to the concert in the at the Coliseum.
Yeah, great
It's just-
concert.
I've never like active. It's either he's played it while I was around and I just like tuned it out because I
Yeah.
was doing my own thing, or I don't know. It's just like I don't actively remember listening to Tool before.
I
So
was
this is-
listening to Faith No More's Angel Dust when this album came out.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fucking hipster, goddamn.
Coming soon.
I was
the
too,
hipster
I was too
Olympics.
cool for early Tool.
Nobody I knew was listening to
I mean,
Tool
fair
when
enough.
it came out. Like, that's not the circles I was hanging out with, and I didn't listen. I was an MTV kid. I watched every
Yeah.
music video that came on MTV. Headbangers Ball, 120 Minutes, Yo MTV Raps. I watched all of it. But for me to actively like go out and like buy music, it had to hit me a certain way.
Yeah, Tool was actually like when Stinkfist came out. That was when they were big
Yeah, I was
on
gonna say, 'cause
MTV.
really, Opiate, unless I missed my guess, didn't really have any.
I don't think so.
No.
Of the
There is
music videos.
there's a music video for Hush where they're all dressed up. They're naked, but they have parental advisory stickers on their junk. Well, like big signs on their junk.
the only thing I can actively recall about experiencing Tool is when trying to think when my brother was playing Guitar Hero World Tour.
Yeah.
and he got to the like towards the end of the game where you can unlock the Tool songs.
Yes.
and it's just a floating skull with snakes like slithering.
Yeah,
out.
those are from
That's
those
all
are from
I know.
Vicarious, the Vicarious video. Tool is I love Tool. It was not good for Guitar Hero. Like those songs were actually fairly boring to play and tedious. But like I love Tool, but I was very disappointed in those. But yeah, this album is one of my least listened to of theirs. Mostly I've listened to Opiate like the most out of this. I've listened to the song Opiate quite a bit.
Of the songs that's on here, I'm not a big fan of like the recorded songs. Like the live performance of Jerk Off is probably the only one I like.
Okay.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, and
Well, and for my notes, that's one like so. Hush, Part of Me, and Cold and Ugly, which are tracks 2, 3, and 4. Those felt more like Perfect Circle songs. And again, I think this is one where he didn't have the outlet yet to be able to kind of move those songs over into the more hard rock genre of it. Jerk Off felt more like a Tool song, like an actual Tool song.
Yeah, it's that early blunt Maynard lyrics with that.
and I don't have an issue with the instrumentals. It's like to me the voice didn't match the energy of the song to me in a little bit because I'm listening to Sweat. I'm listening.
I can
to
actually
Hush,
see that.
and it's like almost like soft spoken a little bit. Like I had to turn my radio all the way up. It's just so I can like attempt to listen to what he was trying to say. And so
If I was to say like like that I like some of the songs from Tool in general, it would just be because of his vocal stylings. Because the reason why I don't like Tool mostly is because a lot of their bass lines are all the same. And I know that's like one of their signature things, but it just like a lot of their songs just bleed together. Like I love Perfect Circle and Pussifer's okay, but Tool, like I just can't, I really can't get into Tool.
It's like I said when Fear Inoculum came out, like the very first part of the very first song on that album, it's like, yeah, this is a Tool album, right? Because even you go back here, you listen to it, and you can see the evolution of it, but it is still that same driving bass, driving drums.
Yeah.
Right.
Although this one does, this and Undertow do have a different bassist.
Yeah.
Now their bassist is Justin Chancellor since Anima, I believe.
Yes.
And before this was Scott Diamore. I remember Diamore is his
yeah, I
last
think that's
name.
right.
Scott or Steve, I can't remember. It's an S. It's an S
Who
start.
went on to become the president of TNA Wrestling.
That might be why I'm saying this, but Diamore is actually
For
is-
more
is his
information
last
on
name.
wrestling, check out Whiskey and Wrestling on all major podcasting.
Yeah, let's get these
avenues.
out of the way. So something else that Tool doesn't really do much anymore is the secret song that's at the end of Opiate.
That's across the board though, because that like early '90s specific. Because Dookie from Green Day has a secret song at the end of their album.
That was on a
Well,
ton of CDs.
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
They had to waste space.
yeah.
Opiate, Undertow, and Anima definitely have one. I cannot remember if Lateralis has one, but I think 10,000 Days has a thing where if you change around the order and put certain songs together, it makes a different song. And I can't remember exactly what that is, but they were like on all of their early albums, they had like a secret song where it was basically them just fucking around. Sometimes it wasn't even a song. Like I believe this one's called the Gaping Lotus Experience, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Opiate, the original recording of Opiate is not as long as the track listing shows because the last 2.5 minutes of it is the Gaping Lotus experience.
Yeah, which is just them fucking around and sounding like some Indian music, and him saying this he had a friend who took some acid. It's really there's no, and then of course with the crap, what is the name of that? It was a CD and DVD bundle thing that they did. I cannot remember. There was a secret song on that one's called Maynard's Dick, which is actually a pretty good song if I remember correctly, but it was very hard to find.
You heard it here first, everybody.
Yes.
Brady loves Maynard's Dick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, write it down. But it also has, but that album also, well, that it's not really a full album. It's more like Opiate, but it also has they covered Led Zeppelin's No Quarter, which is one they don't do very many covers. So Salabial.
Yeah,
There you go.
got it.
I beat Ethan. I made him look it up for nothing.
Ding, 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 ding.
This whole album is under 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is very weird for a Tool album.
Yeah, and if you take out Opiate, I think this clocks in almost under 20 minutes. Just that one song. Well, and again,
If
with
you cut
Opiate,
out-
with the
Drops it
Gaping
down to about 25 minutes.
Yeah, because Opiate itself is only like the real song is only like 4
5
minutes.
It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes 20.
The whole album clocks in at like 26, close to 27. So if you take Opiate out, it's just like a little over 20.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like I said, my favorite song out of this is Opiate. It's really great. It's one of those kind of edgy songs, though. Everything on this is like edgelord shit. But yeah, the 90s, yeah, basically. I did feel some like I will say, like, of the things on here, like Hush still gets played at concerts. They'll usually play that during a concert. I actually felt there was a little part of, which was it Cold and Ugly, that was it Cold and Ugly? No, Part of Me, where there's a couple of notes in there that sound like the breakdown on Stinkfist that I hadn't noticed before. I guess my question is, what made you want to put this, choose this album?
So I think we've actually discussed this, right? When it comes to Tool, I'll be one of the first to say this is not their best album.
Yeah.
By far. Anima or Lateralis, I think probably get top billing.
Yeah.
You can also argue this is not their first album because this was kind of stitched
lot
together
of-
from
there
live
are-
performances and things like
We've
that.
all like people that I know that really like Tool have always considered this their first album, but widely it is not considered their first album because this is an EP and it's
Undertow is their proper first studio album.
yeah. Mhm.
So pick this because a lot of people haven't really heard Opiate.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely falls in that category of you've heard songs off of Anima.
Well, Ethan, you haven't heard
You haven't
any
heard
Tool.
Tool. So
Yeah.
Like most people have heard songs off of Anima. Most people have heard songs off of Lateralis because Lateralis is really when it started getting a lot of play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when they really shot up.
Probably heard some stuff off of 10,000 Days. Of course, when Fear Inoculum came out, it was everywhere because they also had the streaming deal at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an album I think that gets left behind a lot of times because it is that EP. So a lot of people look at it and go, oh, this is just a singles or something like that. And they're like, we'll leave that alone and we'll go to an actual album.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I picked it.
Okay, yeah.
So any final thoughts on Opiate?
It's a Tool album.
I mean,
You know what? That is one of the- that is
my
a
statement
great-
would have been that exactly.
It is
Yeah.
definitely a Tool album. We are not wrong about that.
With some hints of Perfect Circle to come.
Mm-hmm.
I think just from the Maynard side of songwriting, I think his avenues for that were opened up more with Perfect Circle. I think he realized that kind of hard edge more so with Perfect Circle.
I think this is the most 90s of their albums.
Yes.
Which
Like
is
even
funny.
even
Yeah.
Undertow, they start getting. It's harder to like you have to put more into actually like figuring out what the song means.
The Opiate songs really don't have hidden meanings.
No, they are
They are right there in your face
Yeah.
about what this song is.
deaf and blind and born to follow. Deaf and dumb and blind and born to follow. Let me lay my holy hand upon you.
Yes. I should play God and shoot you myself.
Yeah.
So let's jump forward a couple of years.
Yeah, it's a good thing to leave off on. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Let's jump forward a couple of years. Let's jump forward. Let's jump from an album that is very, very straightforward as far as what the songs mean to one that is just written by a very batshit lady.
Yeah.
I would use the terms. Living metaphor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the second album that was on the list,
Yes.
Under the Pink by Tori Amos. This is her second album. Little Earthquakes was her first.
Okay.
Where she started getting a little bit of
Little
stuff.
buzz.
It's also likely that if we listened to this online, we probably listened to the 2015 remaster and not the original.
More than likely.
I had the choice and I just went with the original version.
Okay.
So this is the song that of this list I think is the most 90s album.
Yeah, yeah. There was like multiple parts of the '90s. There was this like edgy part, but then there was also this. I don't even know Tori Amos part.
I would
fucking
say
know.
this album would not have been made in the 80s. It definitely wouldn't have made anything after the year 2000.
Yeah, this album could only exist in the 90s.
I would argue maybe in the 70s singers and songwriters era, in that where everybody, like when they allowed artists to kind of like write poetry and then put music to it.
It also stood out in the time period that it came
Yeah,
because
did.
there wasn't really any artists doing anything close
yeah.
to this.
I will. Yeah, girl with the piano. There were some people who came along later who kind of did that, although they aren't.
They were
as-
way more poppy though.
They were much less pop. They were
Amanda
they were,
Palmer from
yeah.
the
Palmer
Dresden
Palmer from
Dolls.
Dresden Dolls. You have, I mean, this is like proto Florence and the Machine.
Yeah, I got Florence and the Machine.
If you want to
vibes.
go, if you want to turn the pop to 1000%, Vanessa Carlton.
Vanessa Carlton.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was trying to think
Yeah.
of. Yeah. So like this exists, but it was not as Tori Amos.
Yeah. So,
Right.
so this
That's the only
album-
way I can explain this
Yeah, it's
shit.
true.
I'll say this. I mean this with dear sincerity and compliment to her. She lives in metaphor. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
that is what you're looking for, you don't have to worry about it. My only issue with the album is, and it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of variety in this as
there
far
is.
as like backing, not lyrics, backing backing music.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, like you have some reggae skank in one of
Yes.
the songs.
You do.
You have almost a kind of a like there's a couple ones where it's kind of a bluesy beat to it.
Bells
And then
for her is just a very high end piano.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
Like
And-
almost like Christmas bell type.
Yeah.
And
Background.
my final compliment is she's a beautiful voice. She's an exceptional piano player.
Yeah.
Just an exceptional piano player.
Yeah, like listening to this, it reminds me of like. It reminds me of my mom just like opening all the windows, all the doors, playing this very loudly, and like spring cleaning, and the songs are just like predominantly piano, like Icicle, Yes Anastasia.
So it's interesting that you mentioned Icicle.
Yeah.
Do you know what that song is about, sir? So
Say icicles.
well, so this album as a whole is the story behind it is her dealing with trauma. Every
okay.
song is something that she has personally dealt with. Past the Mission is about when she was raped. Icicle is about her being upstairs at her parents' house while her dad is having Bible study in the living room, and she is getting the job done.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
That's interesting.
there's a lot of like the walking metaphor, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in here. Cornflake Girl which was on Yellow Jackets,
Yeah.
actually, recently.
When that one played, I was like, okay, I have heard this. And I think that might be where it's from.
That one had a video too back in the day.
Because her term, she coined the term Cornflake Girl as being women who do not support other women. And the other line in there is raising girls who are women who support women. So it is a very everything she's ever said about this album is it's a very personal album to her.
Yeah, you can
because
tell
it is
that.
about her dealing through different traumas, different stresses throughout her points in
The
life.
metaphor of the title alone should immediately, if you're looking at that and just even a glance reading, you get that.
Because
Yeah.
the metaphor for the title is everybody is pink under their skin. So if you remove their skin, everybody's the same. Like the waitress is, it's probably the most straightforward
Yeah.
song on the album because she is talking about murdering her waitress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is literally this lady won't quit. And because she wouldn't quit, she couldn't get the job at this diner that she wanted to get the job at. So she is plotting to kill the waitress. Like, that is the most straightforward song on here.
Right.
Everything else is very metaphor heavy. A lot of the songs that have that upbeat, poppy almost beat behind them, like if you dig into what the lyrics mean, it's like, oh, this is some very dark shit.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, but a lot of the songs also do have like a very nursery rhyme quality to them. So
Yeah,
it's one
like-
of those that's belying the darkness.
Her cadence as
Yeah.
well kind of leads
It's
into that.
like soothing almost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very soothing music.
Oh yeah, you could nod off to a lot of this.
I'll attach a quick little PS to that. For the most part, every so often, and it's one of the. So I like it when my soft albums stay soft. So it's like, oh, I want to have a calming thing. I want to go.
Yeah.
And you can do that with a lot of songs in here, but every so often,
Right.
it gets really fucking sharp.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, yep, not going to sleep anytime
Yeah,
soon.
there are several times. Most notably, God,
God, yeah.
God.
when they bring in
Yeah.
that guitar
Yeah,
and it's
which
like Jesus Christ.
I remember the video for that song in
okay.
particular. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in like Pretty Good Year, that's one where it's like it's predominantly piano and she's singing,
Yeah.
and then somewhere in like the middle towards the last part, there's a like a guitar interjection. I'm like, huh, what?
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
could
weird guitar.
definitely see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of the theme for me for all of these albums is I respect them more than I like them. I respect the hell out of Tori Amos. You listen to this album and you're like, oh yeah, I get why you are good friends with Neil Gaiman. But this is like, I can only stomach so much Tori Amos.
I
and an
listened to
album is
her-
too much for me.
I listened to her a lot back when Little Earthquakes and this came out, like, because she was like one of the, like, she's so artsy that she was like like adopted by the goth community at the time.
exactly.
Because she was just like just like stands out, and she's very artsy fartsy.
And like, I'll be honest, 20 years ago, I hated Tori Amos.
Yeah.
I could not stand anything she did.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine in Jay's, Richard Jeter,
Mm.
super big fan of hers.
Mm-hmm.
And he constantly tried to get me to listen to it. And I'm like, no, I'm not listening to the Screech Owl for an hour.
I would argue that part of that it's indicative of loving something that much.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong way to get into Tori Amos. Like Tori Amos has got to be a thing. It's like you can't really even necessarily buy her album. You just kind of hear, I kind of like that song. And it's kind of a slow move into, in my opinion, on that.
Yeah, she's an earworm for sure.
I'm going to make a bold statement. Piano players in American music, or in American music, and when I say this, the number 3 is not going to be an American, but he's had a lot of effect. Number 3, Elton John. Number 2, Tori Amos. Number 1, Billy Joel.
Okay.
Like, as far as piano playing, like singer songwriter, like presenting things, I put her above Elton John in that regard. Only Billy Joel kind of proceed, and I believe that even more so now with Billy Joel's new stuff that just came out. Holy shit! Like, waited like what 3 decades for that, and good job, sir. So,
Right.
Yeah, this is not like I said, like I respect the hell out of Tori Amos, but she's not like my bag really, even though like some of the things that clearly she had an influence on, like Florence and the Machine, I fucking love.
I do love Florence.
I just like she's not my bag, and but like I said, I do respect the hell out of this album. But man, it was super Tori Amos. That's like there's a mood that's Tori Amos, and it's this like it's like
It was Tori Amos at her most Tori Amos.
Yeah.
Right? Because the albums that you move on from here, Boys for Pele, that's the next one. I can't remember the one after that.
Yeah.
But she's got like several, right? Like, I mean, she's got a ton.
Yeah.
And as you move forward, Boys for Pele, Choir Girl, Hotel, Venus and Back, they get more in line to me with that Florence and the Machine, with that the Dresden Dolls.
Right.
They
Yeah.
get more. I don't want to call any of that mainstream because it's
Right.
not.
yeah.
But it gets that more
Refined.
sound.
Right.
Where Little Earthquakes in this one are really just
Raw, emotional.
batshit lady with a piano.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real, right? But that's kind of why I picked it, because I wanted something completely different than the other 3.
Oh yeah, I was
albums.
definitely like, one of these albums is absolutely not like the other.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it has its meaning, and there's another album on this list that has a very deep meaning.
I got one more thing to say about Tori Amos. For me, like it's another artist too, which it's unfortunate to say that would be a phase in someone's life as well. Because like I listened to her a lot back in the early to mid '90s, and then I kind of moved on, and also that style of music is not something that I could listen to all the time anyway.
No, you're 1,000% right there. This is she is definitely one of those that you hear people talk about their Tori Amos phase.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I feel like a
it
lot of girls in
is
the
that
'90s had a
thing.
Tori Amos phase.
Right, for sure.
So
They were wearing those long white
the flowy skirts,
the flowy sundressy skirts that were
Yeah, she
that were super
replaced
long.
what's her name from Fleetwood Mac?
Brady's favorite,
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks. Yeah. As far as the idea of her.
Oh yeah.
More
She's kind of an evolution of that. I feel like she's kind of also an evolution of Joni Mitchell. With that singer songwriter type
like
thing.
Jay was talking about, that falls in that 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
That singer songwriter, that empowered female voice that
Confident.
is doing it herself, right? So what else we got about Tori Amos before we move on?
The way I would categorize this album for me is like, I'm not gonna be upset if I hear this, but I'm not gonna actively like look out for it.
I would hope that is basically fair for any of the albums on this list, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like the primary piano song, like those I could listen to all day.
Right.
Like it's just it just reminds me of simpler times, the melody, the calmness of it, and so yeah.
I think in about 20 years, Ethan's going to have nothing but Tori Amos on his playlist.
I mean, that's how it works.
Don't judge me if I like a good piano. Okay?
I'm not judging you. I'm
not gonna judge you.
I'm not. That's not what
Second
I'm
best
saying.
piano in rock and roll, according to James McCarthy.
Yeah.
That's how it works. It takes about 20 years for you to decide that you like Tori.
There is something legitimately to be said about music from an era that you weren't ready for.
Right.
And when you were finally able, when you've had the years and the experience and the learning, and that changes both for things that you liked and things that you
Well,
didn't like.
this shit came out in the dead middle of like the grunge boom.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, it
know?
really did.
And the resurfacing of the goth movement and industrial music and like pop music, I guess.
I mean,
Would you say again,
metal?
the 90s? Yes.
Well,
Like-
I mean, there was a lot that was happening between 91 and
there
93.
were points where you could hear Nirvana or Soundgarden or something like that on MTV, immediately followed by Closer, immediately followed by Cornflake Girl or God. Like the 90s, y'all.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot happening.
So we good with Tori then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
I
let's
got
move to
nothing else.
1998. So we're jumping 4 years now to Do or Die by the Dropkick Murphys. This is their first album. There are several more that they've done that I think are better albums, but again, we're talking about this is a first album. This is one of those, like, you may have heard a Dropkick Murphy song, especially recently. Things like Tessie. Let's see. There's one that was in a Toyota commercial.
The one song's
well, the
been
most-
for like a few years back has been in everything.
Shipping up to Boston.
Boston.
Shipping up to
Boston.
Boston. That is the most famous of their
right.
songs because of The Departed,
Right.
the movie The Departed.
So
Well, that is one, the most Boston song, and two, that's one of the most Irish American songs I think I've ever heard in my life.
So we're going to go back to their first album.
Right.
Now, the lead singer on this album was a different person. This was Mike
Yeah.
McColgan. 98, he leaves Dropkick Murphys after this album comes out. He goes on to become a firefighter. Ends up helping out with 9/11, all that kind of stuff. After he's finished with that, he forms a new band called the Street Dogs. If you like this album, go listen to the Street Dogs. Because the Street Dogs sound like this. This is the album. I apologize to Brady.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I was like, "Well, I like the Dropkick Murphys, so I'll probably like this." And I was
This
like,
is a punk album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was not prepared for any of this, and I was also like, "Wait, this is not the guy that I knew. I didn't even know that they had another song, another guy."
Ken Casey is the current singer. I believe that's his name. Let me pop forward here because I do believe that's it. Or Albar, I'm sorry. Those become more of that folk punk. They become more of that Irish American,
folk, yeah.
that Boston sound.
Yeah.
When you start getting into things like The Gang's All Here, you get into Unity, you get into Blackout.
Yeah,
Blackout, I would almost say, is a rock album.
but
So-
was the other singer part like he did like were there parts of this album where he was on there? Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't.
He did parts and pieces.
I wasn't
of it,
losing
but
my mind.
He wasn't the lead singer.
I wasn't losing my mind. Good.
No, you know, this
'Cause I
is
was like, wait.
this is
I
a,
know that voice.
this is a weird aside. So the Goo Goo Dolls,
Okay.
their main singer doesn't sing all of the songs on all their albums. It's just that the songs you will remember from them the most
okay.
are the ones
You
like
could say the same thing for Blink
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Although Blink sharing song space on an album as far as lead singer go is way more like usual. Like sometimes, like I think was it Enema the State where it's like I think it's almost like one for one they each have a song
Yeah,
that
pretty
they're lead on.
much.
Yeah, Blink-182, they definitely like go back and forth on their albums.
But
Like
one
their
can say
most
that most of
popular.
their popular songs are from the bass player or whatever.
I think it's a decent. I think it's more of a mix than you think.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so this is pure punk.
Yes.
Is
Oh
what it
yeah.
is.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And rough around the edges.
Very
I would say.
rough. Guitar driven. I mean, it's punk. I mean, I can't really break
Yeah,
that down
yeah.
anymore.
and political punk at some point. Oi almost at some point.
At
Yeah.
many points.
Yeah.
Listening to the song, the only thing I can imagine is a bunch of guys and their friends all getting together. They're singing in a pub while there's just an all-out like brawl happening. And
Yeah, that's
they're
a
just-
lot of Dropkick
Oh, you mean
Murphys.
Barroom Hero?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've been to a Dropkick show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are 3 covers on this album.
Oh, okay.
Finnegan's Wake is a cover of an old Irish folk song.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar. That doesn't surprise me, but I also like remember they have done a lot of covers of old Irish songs.
They've done Irish
Like,
Rover.
they fucking start with Cadence to Arms on this.
Yes.
Like,
So that is more of a Scottish song because that's
Yeah.
Scotland the Brave.
And I guess that's technically a cover.
yeah.
Can I just interject? That is one of the greatest album openers of all time. 100%.
It's a pretty good
It
opener.
really gets
Yeah.
pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think it's The Gang's All Here opens with an instrumental version of Amazing Grace.
Oh yeah,
That one's a good one, too.
So that
Yeah.
one's really good too.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other covers on here is Boys on the Docks, which is an early 1900s pro-union, pro-Irish
Yeah.
rally song.
Do or Die, which that's the second song, and Cadence blends perfectly into that and going into
Yeah.
it. That to me is like the perfect union song.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're union, it's like do or die. It's like we must rise, do or die. Yeah, like just evocative of so much stuff in that.
And then the final cover is Skinhead on the MTA, which is a slight name change, but this was a song by the Kingston Trio, which was an old like 3-piece string group.
that evolved
From the
into singing
60s.
evangelical songs later
Yes.
on in their career.
So everything else pretty much though is an original by them. There's a lot of friendship. Let's
Yeah.
go get. I mean, there is literally a line in here: "From the park to the pub is the course we ran."
Yeah.
That's in Memories Remain. So
I'd bring up also Never Alone,
Yep.
which my one note for that is belonging in a sea of alienation. Like everyone else feels against you, but you've got us.
So the only difficulty I had with listening to this album is I couldn't fucking hear a single thing that they were saying.
you're not supposed to, sir.
That's
I,
punk.
I know. It's just, but I don't need to because I have the music's like hyping me up. I'm ready to drop kick someone or whatnot.
Exactly.
It's in the name of the band.
I know.
You get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
It's
think I
more
do.
about
I
the
hope I do.
aggression than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were only a few of these songs that had lyrics on Amazon Music. So most of the time I was just like, yeah, I'm vibing. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's literally a song called Fight Starter Karaoke.
Yeah.
When you do Cadence to Arms and then it transition into Do or Die.
Firestarter karaoke.
I
was
thought
about
it
to
was
say.
Fight Starter. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I was looking, I was like, did I write that down wrong? But I wasn't going to correct you.
When you have that good of an opener and transition into Do or Die,
Right.
I'm fighting someone.
Yeah.
I'm fighting someone.
And like, this album has political leanings. Tenant Enemy *1
Yeah.
is about, hey, you should probably beat the shit out of your landlord.
Yeah.
Because they're assholes and deserve it.
Right.
Of course, there's a lot of union stuff in here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's
I mean,
punk.
they're-
it's very political.
A lot of their most famous songs are remembered for just, and it's mostly the songs that were like stuff that they took from like old Irish songs and redid them. But they are a political band. I mean, their newest album was called "This Machine Still Kills Fascists."
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
which they got permission from Guthrie's wife or ex-wife, daughter, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like close family.
Yeah.
To be able to name the album that and to actually use the guitar that he wrote "This Machine Kills Fascists" on their album cover, which I thought was really damn cool.
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, there's a lot of like political stuff in this. I do have Boys on the Docks. That was a cover, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It was an old like 1920s ish era.
Because I was trying to figure
rally
out
song.
if Johnny is a real person, and I didn't know that this was a cover. And also, they have another song that I heard first heard on Sons of Anarchy called Johnny I Hardly Knew You.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if those were connected.
They're connected.
Okay, good. That's
Johnny
cool.
I Hardly Knew You is original by them.
Okay, all right.
It's
And that,
same
but
person.
that sounds like if you would have told me that's an old Irish song,
Right.
I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Like it sounds like an old Irish song. So even then, it's like sometimes it's hard to tell which is which unless you know.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, again, continuing, even with the Tool album, like this is stuff that I respect and appreciate more than I actually like. Like I really like Dropkick Murphys, but this album I probably won't listen to, even though I had heard Get Up before. I'd heard that somewhere.
That is a very, like, to me, that is the hype song.
Yeah.
Just the opening of Get Up. If you need to, like if you're having a bad day at work and you're in the back room and you're like, I just can't do this. I'm going to go home. This sucks.
Yeah.
Listen to that first, like, 45 seconds of the song and you're ready to go tear a customer's head off.
If I wanted this flavor of punk / oi, instead of listening to this album, I would probably listen to an album by Cockspur. Cockspur, Ethan's face looks very perplexed. They're another English, like pure English, like working class. They have a song about the record industry, and I have to say that, like, you know, definitively, because if you listen to it, it sounds like it's something else, but it's really about the record industry, and it's called Kill 'Em All.
Okay. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jay,
So-
if you just hear me playing Get Up at work, you know it's not a good night.
Yeah. It's been a bad night.
I want to stress something now to everyone who doesn't know. I am part of the shift that's leaving out when his is coming in. So if in the first hour he's there, I'm
Yeah.
hearing that of like the doom of mankind is upon us. all.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess we move to the last album.
Yes.
Song.
So we are both correct.
Yes.
So the last album is 1999.
Yeah.
It is by NoFX, another punk band.
Almost didn't make it. It's November 22nd, 1999.
Yes.
Oh,
Is the
wow.
yeah.
And the name of the song and the name of the album is The Decline.
Yeah.
This is an 18-minute long punk song.
Yeah. Which is, it might as well be a 3-hour punk song
And
in punk song
I don't
terms.
mean, this isn't like November Rain where, you know, to steal a joke from John Mulaney, you thought November Rain was over. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
There is no down period
Yeah.
in this
No.
song.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
like 5
18
different songs
minutes
together.
Yeah.
of punk.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen,
It's much longer than 2 versions of Piano Burning.
yes, but unlike Piano Burning, this has a good message.
Yeah.
And also words.
Piano Burning, you're not, with this one, you're not seeing they're going, am I really listening to this? Is
I'm
this
being trolled.
Is this really happening?
From YouTube user Grim524. I measure time by this song. 1 decline to cook a pizza, 2 declines to drive to work, and etc.
You know what?
Grim524, thank you for the most prescient quote of
Yeah.
all time.
I have done that before
No.
when leaving the shop and gone, yeah, I should be able to listen to all this before I get to the house.
Nice.
To be honest, that standard of measurement of time is not any worse than anything else in imperial, measurements. So,
Well,
One decline is how many what's new pussycats?
yeah. Now changing the decline into metric. That's where that's
where
a
you get
whole
sauce.
Or
yeah.
into the decline of Western civilization, part 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is this was punk, but it was also like more towards. So, I grew up where when I was really starting to listen to music was in the 2000s, and the 2000s the big thing was pop punk. So that's what I listened to a lot. So that's where a lot of my sentiments are. I realize that nowadays that like a lot of that stuff is shit. Some of it's still good, I think.
Right.
But I don't like pure punk. I like more of the pop punk, and this actually kind of starts leaning towards more of the pop punk sentiment of it. I don't mean that as a negative either. I mean that as
NoFX is very approachable punk.
Yeah.
It is. I wouldn't call it pop punk, But
Yeah.
it's
Well, that's why I said
as
it's. I'm not calling it that. I'm saying
Yeah.
that you can see the influence, the
They,
pop punk,
yeah,
like
they
bands,
heavily influenced
how
bands
it was
that would become
influenced by
pop
these
punk.
people.
It is as close as you can get to pop punk without being pop punk.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I put it.
Yeah, Punk,
Yeah.
Punk and Drublick is probably like one of their best albums
Yeah,
as
for
well.
sure. This is a heavily political song.
Oh, very, very,
now,
very.
Here's the thing, right? This came out in 1999. The stuff that they are talking about on this album are still things that we
Yes.
talk about in 2024. Things that they talk about: gun control,
Yeah.
the war on drugs, just the general decline of America.
Yeah. It's almost as if we're really bad at solving these problems.
I'll let me throw more gasoline on that. I would argue if this song had come out in 1980, it would fit the times then too.
Oh, probably.
So I saw that there is a Live at Red Rocks version of this that came out in about, I believe, 2016, where they just instead of the cover of this is like a child
Throwing a paper airplane.
throwing a paper airplane with like the Capitol in the background, and they just changed the child into Trump, and it's like, okay, so yeah, this is very obvious what this is about. So yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, hyper political. I would say one of their most political albums and songs, but they did The War on Errorism, which is a full album on how awful Bush is as a person. So maybe not.
Right.
But yeah, what sticks out to me about this 18-minute long punk song, y'all.
Yeah, that's what's crazy, and it's actually like fairly approachable.
I have a quote. From quote unquote the band, but I believe this was Fat Mike.
yeah.
The recording of The Decline was a nightmare. Recording this fuck was a total nightmare. Writing it was a total nightmare. I'm glad we did it, but I wouldn't do it again. We went back to the studio 3 different times and added stuff and remixed and remastered 4 times. It ain't no rock opera like the song remains the same or nothing. We got the idea from the Subhumans, and this is one I want to, I'm pointing at Jody on that part there. Not Rush. Why an 18-minute song? Just to do something different. We've done enough short songs, time for a long one. Anyway, my advice, never try this song at home.
Yeah. From the cradle to the grave.
Listening to this was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because you get to the 3-minute mark and then you're like, okay, and I listened to this while I was driving, and so
How did you live? I would have gone straight into a tanker truck.
well, I listened to this right after Dropkick Murphys, so I was kind of amped up. A little
Oh wow,
bit,
you
so-
just continued on.
yeah.
How did any of us live? I think that'd be like a 18 death car rampage.
And so there's many like 3-minute mark, 5-minute mark, back to 3-minute marks where some like the instrumentals change a little bit, and then it goes right back to the beginning instruments, and it's like, what am I listening to?
Yeah.
I knew that it has that there's a political message behind this, but at the same time, like, I'm being thrown off.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like an
This
overstimulation.
is as close to progressive punk as you can possibly get.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean this with the dearest sincerity. Even though this is a recording, they can clip and cut and do all these things. That the fact they did, like I said, there was a live version of Red Rocks. To be able to do this song, that is an attest to like high impact stamina that I could imagine as far as playing a song. Even if they had never written it, if they were just I'm going to hand you this 18-minute song that doesn't stop. Can you do it? I feel that there are very few artists that could, and NOFX has done that, and I pay them the highest respect.
It's an impressive song.
Yeah.
And it is in the punk cadence, right? It's like 120, 130 beats a minute type thing.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a doom metal or a sludge metal song,
Right.
where it's like 30 beats a minute.
Yeah.
That's 18 minutes long. This is you get tired listening to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do and then you don't, because it literally does have it's like 5 or 6 different
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
really
songs.
like 5 songs in a trench coat, really. Like when you look at
Because
it.
when you finally like, hear the loops and the cadences of one part of the song, it goes right into the next kind of arc for the song, and it goes up or it goes down, and it stays up, but there's like there are valleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that they like you get a little bit bored with the guitars and the drum and the bassist, and then there's like, here's a horn,
Yeah.
here's a trumpet.
Yes. The ska section showed up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this became a ska song really quick because ska is just punk with a horn.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where did the bongos come from?
Yeah, but
That was from the drum circle on the beach that heard them playing. I was just like, hey, I'll join in.
yeah, they were playing so long they were like, hey,
Oh
y'all
God,
guys hear
Mike
this?
Patton's coming in.
Oh,
No.
Jesus.
But I will say like the bassist is really really good in this song. Like he's
Their
tearing it up.
instrumentalists have always been really good.
Yeah, which again, like a lot of punk bands, they're not good at what they actually play.
Ethan kind of nailed it a few minutes ago when we were talking about Dropkick Murphys, right? Like a lot of punk bands, you're not listening to them for what they're saying. You're listening to the noise that's going on the stage while you're fighting in the audience,
Yeah.
or you're getting hammered on PBR or something
Yeah.
like that.
To me, it's more so I'm listening to the attitude that they're conveying.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I mean, and that's
yeah,
what you get
for sure.
And
mostly
also,
for
like
it.
10 years prior, the Southern California punk style was hardcore. You have like Black Flag, and you have the Dead Kennedys, and you have the Germs. And depending on what version of what album you listen to, you may or may not be able to hear all the instruments, or the vocalist might sound rough or whatever. And then when you get to NOFX, like 10 years later in the early 90s, the recording quality is polished.
Yeah.
The singer has a specific tone, very high pitched, but very like it's toned down.
That's a good. Yeah, I was just thinking of that. Like that's why this feels more pop punky than previously, because this is more polished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like there were a ton of punk bands in the late 80s, early 90s where it was like, crap, our bassist is sick. Hey, you that just paid the $5 cover, can you
Right.
hold a guitar?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet, get on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny Rotten is or not Johnny Rotten, Sid Vicious
Yeah.
is a perfect example from the Sex Pistols.
Right.
Dude had no idea how to play anything. Like half the time he wasn't even plugged in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You come across like the Misfits.
Nor was his instruments.
Yeah.
I just want to say that right there.
With the Misfits, a couple of times they had somebody sit in that was like, "Hey man, our drummer can't make it. Can you play the drums on these songs?" And he's like, I heard y'all once last month.
That's good
And they're
enough.
like, "Yeah, that's close enough. Come on."
It's
Yeah.
not
You know.
punk, but Keith Moon, when he passed out at that one concert, and Townsend goes, "Does anyone here know how to play the drums?" And they brought a guy from the
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
pit, and he played drums on 3 songs to close out the set
Yeah.
for the Who. That's
I remember
yeah.
seeing that.
Well, the difference there is like, the Misfits and other bands like them during the late 70s, early 80s is they not only did they only play 3 chords, but they typically played the same 3 chords in different arrangements.
Yes.
So if you could hit a bass guitar with your fingers, you could play their songs.
And then, listening to the albums of NoFX, like Punk and Drublick, things like that, they're not this polished.
They're not.
This is very polished, and it was polished because it had a message.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and they cared about it.
so that was the 4 albums. I did not put these forward for any of y'all to become, oh my God, I love this band now, I'm going to listen to all their stuff. That's
Right.
not why this was here. I just know that, with the exception of Jody, really, the other 3 members of the Travelers, I'm pretty sure some of this stuff, other than maybe the Tool songs, right?
Yeah.
Well, I own Do or Die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we went to college together.
Yeah, I know.
But there were mainly directed at Brady and Ethan, really directed at Ethan. Stuff that I didn't think you would either have ever heard of or even would have dipped your toes into.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely fair.
That was the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, my theme for this was appreciate more than I actually like. Like most of these, even Opiate, like I do not listen to all that much, if at all, to be honest. I'll listen to Opiate, the song, but Opiate, the album, I don't usually just put on. But yeah, it's more I appreciate these more than I actually enjoy listening to them.
And going by what Holder said, that's a lot of the reasons why we do some of the stuff on the show is to expose Ethan. Like part of the reason why the mixtape even exists is, to newer experiences, voluntarily, of course.
That is also suggestive.
I've come to realize if I want to fall asleep, I'll just play a Tori Amos song. If I want to beat the fuck out of someone, I'm playing Dropkick Murphys.
Uh-huh.
Hey, then you know what? You picked up the meaning behind them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever you want to relax, Tori Amos is there for you for sure.
Make sure you tell it not to play God, because God on that album is a very jarring.
Yes, it
guitar
is
Yeah.
a harsh song. But yeah,
About dissing God. Like I said, God, why you gotta be such an asshole, man?
Sometimes you just don't come through. Do you need a woman to look after you?
Yeah.
Is the line. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
I will also say if you Opiate is not a great representation of what Tool actually is, or the majority of Tool is, because this is obviously Tool, but like you know,
I would say Do or Die in a similar vein also as
Yes.
well, because
yeah, because like later
Very
Dropkick
rough
Murphys
around.
feels very different.
Realistically, all four of these albums can fit that.
Yeah.
Under the Pink, a little less so.
Yeah.
But the other three are very much hey, this is where that band you just listened to came from.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have one
interesting.
question before we leave it. So in their description of recording it, NOFX said they were looking to go be like the Subhumans. Jody, do you know anything about the Subhumans?
I do, but I don't know what that reference is.
Okay. Because I think they were mentioning the fact that they were wanting to do a longer song, and were the Subhumans like just was that their stick in
Subhumans, not necessarily song, but like their albums would have a heavy theme to them. So maybe like
Okay.
as a
so thematically more so than
Thematically-
like actual song length.
I would assume
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I'm not a connoisseur of the Subhumans. I have listened from the cradle to the grave,
good album.
which is one of their. They only have like so many. There's like 3 or 4, I think, or something
Okay.
like that. But they might have, on one of the things I haven't heard from them, might have had a really long song or something like
Yeah,
that.
I had to single out the Traveler's preeminent British punk expert for that one question.
Well,
Listen.
Holder probably knows quite a bit about
He's
this.
a passenger. He's not been given full traveler status.
Yes, whatever.
There you go.
I will tell you, like there's a couple of punk bands.
Look at Jay over here.
Censored.
There we go. Thank the good Lord.
There's I can't remember
I'm
the name
always
of the.
proud when I get Jay to
There
say
you
I
go.
may have to cut
I
that.
may have to cut that. As
I
it
can't
goes.
remember
no
the name of one
prompting.
of the bands, but the other one was Agent Orange. Agent Orange during the mid to late '80s tried to do the hair metal thing. There was a couple of those.
Yes,
punk,
they did.
There was a couple of punk bands that did that.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. It's sad to see
Well,
because it didn't work
Pantera
out.
started
it's-
as a hair metal band.
They started as a hair metal band.
Well,
Yeah.
also
Then
it's
they evolved
legitimately
out of it.
chasing the money.
Yeah.
At that point, which is the least
I
punk
was about to say,
thing
which
to
is
do.
the antithesis of punk.
They went from
so-
not making any money doing punk to trying to make money doing
well,
hair metal.
Rush during the 80s went new wave, so like
After they read Ayn Rand. Never fucking forget.
Styx did the same thing.
yeah.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
No, that was whatever his name was, the lead songwriter. For them.
Right, but that's when they started going into the.
No, that's when Tommy Doll was like, "Why are we still in this band? What the fuck is going on?"
That's when their sound changed, though.
So, gentlemen, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for
I know, appreciate
for
it.
doing this. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed hearing the thoughts of these albums. Hopefully, your listeners will hear these and be like, "Oh yeah, these albums kind of suck, but I liked this other album by them, so I'll listen to that instead."
Well, also, Jason, just so you know, this may or may not be true. Depends on how we feel later on in the year. But
I'm sorry. It's like, what is
it's
this
a
prefacing?
bit. It's a bit. Every season we change up how we do the music. So like the first season of the show, we all threw in an album and we all listened to it.
Right.
And then the second season of the
Everybody
show,
brought 3.
everybody brought 3. So this season we're going to do something different, probably. So
no, this is no. We're locking it. Passengers, we're locking it in.
Yes, because we've never said anything on this podcast
Exactly.
that
didn't have to be
changed
changed later, but we're locking it in 100%.
Sure.
This year, all master tapes are guest hosts.
Okay, well, we were gonna do videos next, but okay.
That won't be part of Mastertape. It'll just be we'll call it video Velociraptor.
Everybody,
Video Velociraptors.
thank you for being here on the last Master
I was
Tape.
about to say this was the last one for this season and the first one of this season.
Because we don't get guests too often on
Because
where's
Jay mentioned
Michael?
it.
Get his. Where's the whiskey part of whiskey wrestling?
Look, I love my co-host to death, right? But do y'all really want to hear Michael's musical takes?
I do.
I don't know if I even am sure of Michael's musical tastes.
It's gonna be like just 4 albums of Bob Seger.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't hate that, to be honest
I'm not
with
sure
you.
if Michael likes Bob Seger, but you know what? We're going with it.
Yeah, he feels like a Bob Seger.
Michael Hill, we challenge you to be the next guest host on Mixmaster Mastertape.
The only thing I recall of Michael's musical taste is he was disappointed when we didn't have Metallica's One as in the top 5 music videos, and he has One as his favorite.
We
song.
can do it and then place bets on if
he's gonna give us a Metallica song.
if his musical taste is better or worse than Ethan's.
Hang on a second. It
He
can't
even
Possibly
followed
be
it.
worse.
He even followed it with, "Hang on a second.
I love how you
This is your house. You can kick us out at any
this is the
time."
last-
Yes, but question: what constitutes as worse than my taste?
I can't fathom
Hold that thought for a second. Hold my beer. It was funny, like the other week, right? JT's like, "Hey Ethan, I heard like, you know, you do different music stuffs on the podcast. What bands do you like?" And he went into everything he's been currently listening to, not even dipping his toes into the butt rock shit.
Yeah.
Sir, did you turn your back on Bob Shinedown? How dare you?
Timmy Trapped is in his room crying.
Although we can't take JT's like word
That's
for
true.
any
He
of
does
this.
know who Mr.
He
Bungle
listened
is.
to
Because he said Led Zeppelin sucked.
Hang on.
And I was like,
you ripped that microphone from
yeah.
Jason and
He
straight
said they suck because all of their songs sound the same,
Yeah.
This is also
It's
the
a-
same
it's a
man
hot
that
take.
willingly
and that John
willingly
Bonham was a
listened to
shit
Mr.
drummer.
Bungle.
Yeah, that was also something he said.
So all
Jarrett
of JT's
Taylor.
So all of
After
JT's
Michael, we challenge you, guest host on
it's
the
just gonna
Omnibus.
be like some avant-garde jazz shit that we're gonna have to listen to.
Right, and then we get to shit on him for
And
an
again,
hour about it.
I appreciate
What have I
jazz.
done?
I don't listen to jazz.
It's gonna be like Scatman John. That's what it's
Yeah.
gonna be. His Welcome to Scat World album.
No, it's gonna be like
Yeah.
some fucker who does like jazz fusion shit.
I only listen to non-instrumental jazz.
The Yoko Ono album where she's just throwing bottles.
No, we're not
wind
doing
chimes.
Yoko Ono.
See, you haven't been around enough for it, but I have just been fucking with JT with all this butt rock that I just sing
yeah.
around because I know he hates that
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
And so it's just like, no. When he made the Led Zeppelin statement, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to
Right.
go DEFCON J. Here we go.
right.
It's game the fuck on. Like he'll be playing
You
playing
cannot like Led Zeppelin, but to say that they're a shit band and all their songs
Or
sound
that
the same,
John Bonham-
and John Bonham is
Yeah.
a terrible drummer.
I am sorry. Every other musician in history disagrees with you.
Yes,
I can say Greta Van Fleet sucks because all their songs are
Greta
modeled-
Van Fleet is just.
It's
they're-
four.
they're-
It's four.
They're Led Zeppelin.
It's four.
They're
It's
trying
not
to
just
do-
Led Zeppelin. It's
Oh
Led
yeah,
Zeppelin
it is
4.
definitely Led Zeppelin 4. Like it is just
Every
that.
single song from Led Zeppelin.
Because I was
4.
like, oh, let me check out Greta Van Fleet. I like them. They're supposed to sound like Led Zeppelin. I was like, wait,
they do sound.
this is just a Led
exactly
Zeppelin
like
song.
Led
And I was like,
Zeppelin.
okay, well, let me try out the next one. Oh, this is just. Are they all? They're all just Led Zeppelin songs.
Every song is just been a long time as you rock and roll.
It's all four.
Now
Every
it-
single fucking song.
Now, a band that sounds like Led Zeppelin, but I think is different enough from them is Wolfmother. I like Wolfmother.
You know who doesn't like Wolf Mother?
Of course.
Mike Patton.
Mike Patton
Mike Patton.
of
Oh.
yeah,
Pay no
Mr.
more.
I mean, that doesn't
Bungle.
surprise me.
To be fair, Mike Patton doesn't like a lot of things.
He doesn't like a lot of anything.
That is
Yeah,
true. That is true.
It's kind of hard to like.
Which
things when
explains
you're dead.
Mr. Bungle.
Yeah.
It just does.
Okay,
Yeah.
we've
Explains
mentioned
that one album.
we have mentioned Mr. Bungle way too many times.
Yeah, we have met our Mr. Bungle quota.
I'm pulling the brakes. I'm stomping on them.
You're stomping on the brakes.
While you're pulling on them, that's
Yeah.
dangerous, sir.
I am dropping.
Yeah,
Jason
you're gonna
off.
break something.
yeah.
I'm dropping Jason off at his at the studio where he records his podcast. Jason, tell us about your podcast.
He's already told us about his podcast.
So
we
we'll
could've
listen.
skipped that.
Tell us again.
So me and Michael Hill record
Forceful.
Whiskey and Wrestling, where we talk about wrestling and ponder why we're still wrestling fans most of the time.
Oh my
And generally, we drink an okay whiskey. Sometimes we drink Canadian Hunter. Sometimes we drink $7 a bottle Taka Mardi Gras flavored vodka.
Wait.
Mardi Gras
What-
flavor.
Yeah, what is Mardi Gras flavor?
So it's
Just
king-
like
it's king
parade.
cake.
Okay,
It's king cake,
Okay,
right? Which
I thought it was gonna be
tastes
like
like-
parade puke,
Which
like,
tastes like gasoline that someone poured an unholy amount of cinnamon and sugar in. It's good with pineapple.
Were you going to
juice.
mention something about Fireball?
No.
Okay.
I was going to mention that. So when we were doing our King Cake Off that happened in January, they wanted to have a signature cocktail, but they couldn't do that because there was only like one place on the Gulf Coast that had enough of the Taka King Cake vodka, so they didn't get to do it because they needed like several cases. They
That would
needed
have
like
only cost them like $20.
Yeah.
yeah, but like there was nowhere that had that as much as they needed, except I think one place in like fucking Louisiana.
$7 a bottle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, taco was one of
Like-
the first things that I got drunk off of,
like-
and I don't drink vodka anymore.
A Big Mac combo meal is more than an entire fifth of fuck you up juice.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially if you get
Why
it
do you
at
think we
noon.
got taco? Because we were like, we're not getting the bottom shit. We're not getting the $5 stuff.
Yeah, we're not
Let's
getting Dobra.
let's get the $7
Aristocrat.
stuff. Aristocrat. That's what it was.
No.
I'm sorry. No. I have to stop on Aristocrat because all Aristocrat liquors are just the same liquor that they put in a different labeled.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's 100%.
Because they make vodka, they make gin, they make tequila.
They make rum.
I mean, you could say that, but they all taste the same.
Yeah.
And if you legitimately want Dobra, you have to move the Aristocrat bottles to the side because they don't even where you can see them. They put them behind the shelf.
It is in the. Are you sure you want to do this?
Are you sure you want to try paint thinner?
Yeah.
So yes, whiskey,
Whiskey
and
and
wrestling.
wrestling.
In a plastic bottle.
Hey, I live by my principles. I don't watch any wrestling anymore.
I watch clips on YouTube now.
I every once in a while will watch some clips.
They've been doing some good promos lately. Ish.
Yeah. Heel Rock is an odd choice in 2024.
They didn't have much of a choice.
AEW's kind of.
I feel like that wasn't their first choice.
It was not. AEW's kind of stale right now until Sting's
Injury.
last match is over.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
injuries over there.
So wrestling's just not in a great spot right now. I don't think.
I like how in the last year of his career, Sting has decided to pay tribute to the last years of New Jack's career by jumping off of by jumping off of every balcony he can find. I watched a best of Sting in AEW, and it's literally just like 7 minutes of no selling everything.
Yeah.
I forgot this. Everrise had double choke slammed him on a table, and he beats them to his feet, and just does the Sting thing and just beats the shit out of
yeah.
them. It's great.
Yeah, he does that quite a bit.
Jesus. Jay, give a podcast.
Stephen Nelson II and our friend Jarrett Taylor, who you need to come on the show and give us your master tape, Jared, J Team, just saying. Host Bearded Drums, a podcast about drumming from all things gear to gigs, with recordings of some live sessions done by Stephen himself. Check that out on YouTube and all major podcasting avenues.
Jody.
Fearology is a show that I record every 2
Joey's
months.
always going to do the fearology.
That's true. I
just need to take it from him
I
one
do
day.
silence your cell phones every once in a while.
Well, you went to him first, and if he goes first, he's obviously going to do it.
Do I host all the time?
No, thank God.
That sounded so sad.
Do I?
You walked into that one, motherfucker.
Yeah, you did.
Jody, continue, please.
It's low hanging fruit.
No,
I had
that's
to
it.
take
That's
it.
it.
That's
That's
fine.
Fearology.
Yeah, there you go.
Brady, you may now go.
Ooh, can I put as much effort into my promo as Jody put into
Yes,
his?
yes.
Yes, why not?
Okay, silence their cell phones.
Yes, the
they talk
Massachusetts
about
Bay
movies.
Transport Authority approves it. that's where the omnibus runs out of.
When I saw MBTA, I was like, "Is that Municipal Boston or Metropolitan Boston Transit
I
Authority?"
thought that too. I thought it was Metro, but it's at Massachusetts Bay. I looked it up.
So yeah, silence your cell phones. Jarrett and Kevin. I don't feel like saying your last names. They talk about they talk about movies and stuff, and they're on YouTube and wherever podcasts are. So check them out.
The Completed Podcast, a magic-centered podcast hosted by Christopher Vega, Brendan Scott Tanner, and Brandon Smith. They go into competitive magic, the metas of different formats, personal takes, and personal stories on just magic in general. They have amazing interviews with professional magic players. Give them a listen to. That is The Completed Podcast. Believe that wraps everything up.
I can't think of anything else.
Okay, we can't think of anything
I'm
else.
doing my bad Sling Blade impersonation.
Yeah, that is a bad sling blade in her face.
Yep.
We want to thank Jason for coming onto the show and giving us his 4 albums and opening our eyes to new things. At least mine and Brady's, I think.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Jason, thank you for coming on. Come back next week and listen to what we're going to talk about next week, which will probably be explained next week.
Yeah.
Professionalism.
My name's Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
I'm Brady Davis.
I'm Jody.
Good night, good afternoon, good morning. We'll see you next week.
Oh yeah. Do the outro song. You gotta do the outro song.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people wouldn't know that the show is over.
Yeah.
Jason, any final words?
No.
No, he shook his head.
He shook his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably
He
for
shook
the best.
his head.